If you look at a lot of common problems in golf setup, if the scap is unstable or the shoulder's internally rotated this way, you're going to get the forearms, I guess, return being in a more of a pronated position through the address. That's going to affect forearm rotation, thoracic movement, how the club sets, etc. So the T-Pro is a brilliant way of actually getting that sensory feedback of externally rotating the shoulders. It's sort of somewhat, I don't often have to talk a lot about getting into good hip bend because you're almost forced to if you're trying to maintain 3 points at the top of the spine.
In order for me to get my thumb up, I've got to externally rotate against that load, which activates my rotator cuff. So my rotator cuff is working to make sure that that shoulder externally rotates. And the way you can tell is basically looking at the inside of the elbow. Where's the inside of the elbow pointing? As Rich said, we don't necessarily want to see people set up in this kind of position with the elbows inside the elbow pointing in towards each other. We'd rather sit them here because then that sets the shoulder a lot better.
So an issue with when I see typically with players and set up with their wedge play, they get too much right side bend, especially if they're leaning forwards as well. So if we come back to neutral, mate, so we're going to try to feel like the pelvis is pretty neutral, the shoulders feel pretty neutral, and this is where we get into that radius control. So now the sensation is that we can actually create a pivot through that upper back, and when Lockie pivots through the shot, pivot through now, you can actually feel like he works up and around that lead side. The shoulder plane looks pretty level on the through swing. The club and arms are right in front of his chest, so there's no pulling on the grip and there's a release in the club head. High quality pivot through that thoracic spine. Scap stability, pushing up around the left leg. So push up around the left leg with the upper body. Good. So the more you actually pivot and push, the more that sends the club head down. You know, a lot of club golfers will try to go, oh, I got to stay down when I'm chipping. They'll go this way and then they'll go flip or they'll go drag. Whereas if we actually try to pivot and push, that's going to actually send the club head down to the turf.